Do not move to Davenport, Iowa, unless you can handle these 7 things. Yes, I'm telling you, do not move to Davenport, Iowa, because it's not for everybody. And we're gonna discuss why you may not want to move here, but you also may want to move here and still know these things. So stick around because we're gonna cover those 7 things. But the very, very first thing that everybody brings up when they move to the area is, of course, the winter weather. Yes, we're in the Midwest. Yes, it gets cold here. Yes, we get a ton of snow here, and it's just something that you're gonna have to know about. I have a couple of families that called me up this week, and one's coming from Phoenix, Arizona. The other one's coming from Vegas, and it's gonna be a huge change for them because one in particular has never left Vegas. So he's never experienced the winter aspects. And I told him, I was like, hey, it's gonna be different. Just know that going in. He's like, I've seen snow. And I actually had a story. I went to Vegas one time, the very first time I ever went there, and it snowed on me when I was in Vegas. Of all the times, it was like 20 years they hadn't had snow and it snowed on me. Regardless, what I told him, I was like, hey, that's not quite the snow that we're gonna get here. Just be ready for it. And I think he understands, but you really don't quite understand until you finally experience it because it's very slick. If you're not used to driving on snow, it's a little bit hard to get used to because when you hit your brakes, it's not a guarantee that you're gonna actually stop. So you gotta give yourself a lot of space in between different cars because it's not a guarantee. You might just keep sliding, and it's terrifying when that happens, trust me. And then as far as the cold goes, I think a lot of people that move here that are from the sand states or maybe tropical regions, because I've helped people from all over the world move here, is the cold kind of hurts, not gonna lie. Like, you walk out into the cold weather, it might hurt your face. Just saying. I mean, that's kind of why I have a beard. Okay, not really, but it is maybe part of it, I don't know. Anyway, make sure you're gonna get the warm clothes because it does get cold, it does get snowy, it gets all the things. So be ready. If you're not into that, I wouldn't move here because it's gonna happen every year. And honestly, if you moved here in the last couple of years, we've actually had pretty mild winters, so you may not have experienced the whole thing, but it's a good test run if you're already here. Now, if you're moving here from a larger city, the thing that's really different about Davenport compared to larger cities is there's a lot of uniformity as far as it comes to living lifestyles. Yes, we have a downtown. Yes, we have like suburbia, and yes, we have kind of rural living, but the differences aren't really that big. You can get an apartment in downtown, and yes, you can kind of live that city life. But the thing about it is you're still probably gonna have to leave downtown to go get your groceries. There is a little grocery store down there, but for the most part, you're probably gonna have to get away from downtown to go and get stuff like that. So you're living the downtown city life, you got the bars and the restaurants, but it's really not like a big city. And then you got the rural areas. Yes, Davenport proper still has country and farmhouses outside the quote-unquote city, so you have that option, but it's kind of few and far between. If it wasn't, it really wouldn't be rural anymore. And of course, we have the suburban type living where you got house after house after house after house. That being said, not all of them are cookie cutter houses. Davenport is pretty diverse in the house style, and it's kind of something that people kind of like sometimes. You know, you get different choices, different styles, but it is still, you're right next to your neighbor. You don't necessarily have a ton of room. Yes, some lots are bigger than others, but it's very much suburbia. You have everything fairly close to you, your grocery store, your gas station, your barber, that sort of thing. But overall, it's pretty uniform in the styles of living. So if it's something that you really like, you may not want to move here. The thing about the different style houses is it's pretty neighborhood specific. And if you're not familiar with the area, you're probably not gonna know what neighborhoods have what kind of styles of houses. And that's something that I could help you out with. I am a licensed realtor here in Davenport, Iowa, and I help people move here all the time. And the big part of that is saying, hey, what kind of neighborhood are you really looking for? Do you want the older antique architecture type home, or do you want the brand new stuff? It really does depend on what you're looking for. And if you're moving here, you just don't know, well, give me a call. My number is popping up down below. I am the one that answers all those phone calls, emails, and texts. Now, I kind of hit on this a little bit before, but talking about the styles of homes is in Davenport, there's new construction, but it's not a lot, if that makes sense. We don't have like big master plan communities that you see like down in Florida or Texas, where it's all one developer. They build everything. They have the clubhouse, they have the houses. We don't have that necessarily. Now, do we have developers that will develop a neighborhood? Yeah, we do. But the biggest ones we have are maybe 50 houses. It's not like the entire community. And sometimes the developers actually will have different builders come in and build different styles of houses. So it's not necessarily always cookie cutter houses that are next to each other, look exactly the same, and they move on and go on. So the new construction in Davenport is kind of hit or miss on if there's a lot or not. But if you do get in here, they're gonna be pretty nice houses because they're building them pretty quality. And the thing about Davenport is it's a little bit more affordable than other places around the nation. So people are always surprised at what amount of house they can get here, especially if they're coming from different areas like Arizona or Las Vegas or Texas. It's always surprising to them when they move here. So this next one is for the modern person, which I guess technically we're all modern people. And that is down to your internet choice. If you're moving here, just know somewhat limited on what your choices are for internet, but I will say in the last couple years, it's kind of upped its game in different choices. When I first moved here, it's pretty much CenturyLink and Mediacom, and they're kind of all iffy. I will say Mediacom was probably a little bit better than CenturyLink. CenturyLink personally, I can't stand them. I don't know. When I moved here, I told them, hey, I want this certain megabits per second. They said, no problem, we'll get you that. And they got me put in, signed up, ready to go. And about, I don't know, a week after everything was up and running, I tested the speed. And it was like, I think I was supposed to get 15 megabits per second, which, oh my gosh, so fast, right? But then I tested it and it was like 1.5. And I called them up, I was like, hey, what's going on? They said, we can't even offer 15, so I don't know what you're talking about. And I said, you guys told me I was gonna get that. So nonetheless, I didn't like them. That doesn't mean they haven't improved, but that was my experience with them. And then you got Mediacom. Never had too much issues with them. They were a little bit more expensive, but overall, not too bad. But the new news is that a company named Metronet has come to town. They are a fiber optic company and their speeds are phenomenal. I have them now and I'm very happy with them. Very few outages. When I first got them, they're fairly affordable. I will say they've gone up in price a little bit, but for the service, it's not too bad. And if Metronet is watching this, I'll take any discount you might have because I'm a big fan and I love your service, but you are creeping up a little bit in prices. Anyway, maybe I'll get a sponsorship. I don't know, probably not. Anyway, my point is that the internet options were kind of limited. They still are a little bit limited, but you got choices now and it's probably a good option for you. But if you're very set on one way or another, you might have to look elsewhere because those are basically our three choices with maybe some miscellaneous ones that I'm not familiar with. Now on the surface, if you look at Davenport, you may say, hey, there is not a lot of entertainment around, which I could see. I mean, we don't have professional sports teams, we don't have big arenas, we don't have huge museums, but if you dig a little deeper, we actually do have those on a smaller scale. I mean, we have the Figge Art Museum, which is a phenomenal art museum, by the way. And sometimes it's free admission, depending on what's going on. Sometimes they have some great promotions to get in there. And then we have things like the Vibrant Arena, which is just a hop, skip away in Moline. They have great events there. And then we do have our minor league baseball team, which is the River Bandits they actually just got voted the #1 minor league park in the entire nation, which is an awesome feat. And it's well deserved. If you ever go there, you sit. I recommend sitting on the third baseline because you get to look out onto the river. You see the Centennial Bridge in the background. The sunset is usually out. It's absolutely gorgeous. And it's well deserved that they won the best park in minor league. So again, on the surface, it may seem like we don't have a lot of entertainment going on, but if you're looking for it, you really can find it. And it's not just established stuff, it's events. So we have the St. Patrick's Parade, which starts in Illinois, comes across the river and comes into downtown Davenport. We have the Bix, which is like a 15,000 person race, 7 miles up into the city of Davenport, which is a lot of fun. Even if you don't like running, it's still a ton of fun to come down to that. So yes, there's things to do. You just got to look for it. But the nice thing about Davenport is if you don't want to go out and do things, it's pretty easy not to. So look for it, you can find it. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. Now, the thing about Davenport that you'll probably find out pretty quickly, well, you're gonna find out even quicker because I'm gonna tell you on this video, is that the pace of life to some people can seem a little bit slow. Yeah, I did that intentionally. It is a little bit slower pace of life compared to big cities like Chicago or San Francisco or Austin, Texas, because everybody's in the hustle and bustle and really ready to go, whereas Davenport, there isn't a lot of that hustle and bustle feel to it. There's not a lot of it going on. But the thing about it is some people seek that out. They want that more slow pace of life. They want that community feel. They don't necessarily want to have to do things all the time. So depending on where you're coming from and what your preference is, the pace of life is going to be slower. So you got to really ask yourself, is it something that I want, or is it something that I don't want? So if you're moving here, just know that going in. And again, if you're moving here and you just don't know where you want to be within Davenport, well, give me a call. I'm a licensed realtor here in Davenport. My number is popping up down below. And if you want to see what Davenport actually looks like, check out this vlog right here.